Hey, welcome into Chatterbox Bearcats, the midweek show. I am Nick Niehaus, joined always by Eric Lilly at Bearcat Bunch on Twitter. Follow him on Twitter. Follow me as well at Nick Niehaus _ Lilly, I think I'm going to start this show off with a little disclaimer because I think we have a bunch of new listeners after that amazing Crosstown Shootout victory. So, Chatterbox Bearcats, it's a group of 4 fans. I want to call us fans, not journalists. Me and Chuck were journalists at some point. We were both sports anchors on local TV stations, but there's 4 of us. Obviously, me and Lilly here on the midweek show, and Charlie Walter and Hudson Klauke. They do a lot of the post-game live reaction shows. And those are really the 2 shows that we do. We do a live show after every final horn of basketball and football. And then, of course, me and Lilly will break it down holistically in the midweek show so that we have a ton of content. We also do a bunch on Twitter. We have spaces, and you can follow us on Instagram at Chatterbox Bearcats. But the spaces we've been testing a little recently, that's a ton of fun because people can chime in and kind of give us their takes, give us their questions. And yeah, just a whole lot of content for Bearcat fans. We're kind of new to the scene, but I think we're growing at a pretty good rate. And hey, if the Bearcats keep performing, we're going to be giving you content all around the clock. So, Lilly, I want to kind of dive into what we got this week. We're going to break down, obviously, the Crosstown Shootout. We'll start with that. Then let's talk a little bit about Dayton. There's a bunch of football portal news on the horizon as well, and also just football season opener news. A little tease there. Not a lot of people are happy with how that went down. We'll get to that as well. But also, we have a Cincinnati legend on the show later this week with Mo Egger. So Mo Egger, a Dayton grad, but also a Bearcat fan, and of course a radio host, longtime radio host here in Cincinnati. So that's a big get for Charlie. He's going to be interviewing him later this week. So that preview show for the Dayton game will come out, I believe, probably Thursday. But let's talk about the shootout first and foremost. I want to start off with myself, and I want to say I was wrong. Hand up. I was wrong. I said we'd win by double digits, and we only won by 3. Dang it, Lilly. I'm an idiot. No, I'm just kidding. Good victory for the Cats. We all predicted a double-digit victory. I'm okay with a 3-point win. How did you feel about that shootout?
I didn't feel great during it. I thought I would get progressively more anxious going into the game, but I started to get pretty confident. And I thought we, started out okay, but that when it got to 53-46, I believe, I was not doing too well. I'm happy that we responded instantly after that moment because that was the old it felt like last year in terms of our season, and then it felt like the last 5 shootouts, whatever. So my mind went places it shouldn't have gone, but they came through and finished real strong.
Yeah, I'm talking to some people, and I'm like, man, that shootout was awful until it wasn't. Like, we had the lead. I was rewatching the game yesterday, kind of prepping for the show. And at one point, I'm like, wait, we had a 9-point lead in the first half? And I tweeted out a video where I'm like, that win was huge because now fans aren't going to be as nervous every single big game. Because at this point, yeah, Wes has beaten some good teams. This was the biggest game he's had, in my opinion, and it was the biggest win he has had. So I feel like everybody was just so uptight in fifth, third. Yeah, it was rocking, but me personally, I needed it's like when you're not having a good shooting night. You need to see one go down. We needed to see Wes win a big one. Yeah, we beat BYU on the road last year. Yeah, we beat Texas Tech on the road last year, and we beat Kansas without their 3 best players last year. Those are better teams than Xavier, but I think this is the biggest win Wes Miller has had. I don't think there's a question. I mean, Xavier's owned the series. They've won 5 in a row. And Wes, he even said it himself. He's like, they were going to run me out of town. And I love it here. I don't want to leave here. Do you think this is the biggest win Wes has ever had?
Oh, yeah. And got to shout out the Illinois win year 1 where we just should not have won that game. But that season, we weren't close to making the tournament at all there. So it's hard to call that like a huge win in hindsight. But I think it's just far and away the biggest win. All things considered, like we have hype this season, just missed the tournament last year. if we won one of those games last year, I don't think we would have got in, according to my resident bracketologist. So like, I don't want to like judge each of those games as being like, well, if we won that, we would have gotten the tournament. This one's like, you win this, it justifies some of the hype. The streak ends. We feel like we're turning into the right direction, like with tangible stuff rather than the recruiting wins and all the buzz around the program.
I think my biggest takeaway, other than the fact that this was his biggest win, I just kind of want to dive into this team. And I'm sure everybody saw this. And if you haven't, go on Twitter. I think I've retweeted it. I'm sure you've tweeted it. Hilarious, though, the post-game speech in the locker room that Wes was giving the team. Steve Logan just put it up on live for everybody to see, which is hilarious that he just leaked that to everybody. But Wes was essentially saying, we didn't hit layups. We weren't making shots, and we still won the game. That's a sign of a good team. Also, I am omitting a handful of words there, so look it up, right? Like it was an electric post-game, I guess, speech to his team that, hey, everybody got to see what it was like, which I love. That's my biggest take about the team is that good teams win when they don't play well, and that's exactly what happened. A little frustrating game because it seemed like every single time we had momentum, X would hit a shot. And to your credit, like you just mentioned, like it felt like last year's shootout or the year before where we were just going to lose. Because X just responded every second. Is there a moment where obviously the last 3 minutes, but is there a moment where you felt, okay, we actually might win this game?
The funniest part about this, my answer to this is the Xavier got a 4-point play like literally 8 seconds after it happened. But when Skillings put back that free throw, I was like, we're winning this game. Like it took me that long to get there. It's just one of those a little unnecessarily ugly with CMOS missing 6, was he 1 for 7 from 3, Jizzle 0 for 9 from the field. It's like, that's what Wes is talking about though. Other guys stepped up and like Jizzle, if you take away the missed shots, it's like he wasn't awful. He had 5 assists. He made 2 clutch free throws. CMOS, he had some big shots, even though he missed a lot of threes. Like I think when we were down 53-46, I think CMOS hit a floater and then a 3 right after. I think that's what got us right back into it. So like even the guys that didn't play well, which I don't like saying that about guys that miss shots. I know a lot of fans do, but for me, jumpers are kind of like, sometimes it's your night, and we know CMOS can shoot. Like I don't think he missed them because he wasn't trying. So the guys that didn't play well had big moments, and to me, that's what put us over the edge because like everyone else was playing fine. The Aziz lobs, the Mitchell lobs. We got our Connor Hickman moment that we talked about last week a couple times. I can't remember if that was on the spaces of the podcast, but he was my guy that needed to pop this game to get his confidence around. He did. Not like an exceptional game, but he started off great. He played quality 20 minutes. Everyone else just did a good job. Skillings, good defense. Day, good defense. Couple good moments. And then the guys that played the worst are the ones that had the big swing plays with Skillings CMOS getting us back in the game, and then Jizzle hitting those 2 threes that put us in a position as fans to watch that Fremantle 3 without worrying that we were going to lose on that play.
I like that you mentioned Hickman because we called him out. We're like, man, Hickman's not playing well.
There we go, Connor. There we go.
Against bad competition. And he showed up, and it was him and Day who kind of kept us afloat until the last 3 or 4 minutes where Skillings made a play, Seamus made a play, Jizzle. Huge stones to knock down those 2 free throws when you're 0 for 9 from the floor. So our best players made the plays down the stretch to win the game, but it was our role players who got us there. It was Connor Hickman, it was Day, and also Dylan Mitchell and Aziz Bendago had great games. Aziz Bendago, that's the toughest I've ever seen him play. That was awesome. I do want to highlight the Dan Skillings free throw play because, my goodness, a lot of X fans crying all over the internet because of that. Did we get a whistle? Absolutely. He was over the line before the ball touched the rim, which everybody else can release on the release. No pun intended. But my take on the matter is X always gets the whistle, it seems, in this game. And they even got the whistle on Saturday. There were some fouls where I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And we're at home. And I'm not going to complain about the refs. But B, Sean Miller, I'm going to retweet this. Chuck actually just texted us as he said, please talk about this. Sean Miller on a radio show. I think it was a live show. I don't know where they do it. Probably Quatman's Cafe or something of that nature. But essentially saying, what are the repercussions of missing a call like that? It's like somebody pulling the home run ball foul and then they call it fair and it's really foul. And what are the repercussions? Get over it, Sean. Dalen Swain had plenty of time to box him out. He can go on the release. Stealing's, I mean, he gave it a beat before he ran in. It's not like he released the ball and then ran in for the rebound. Swain could have boxed him out. So yes, we got a whistle. No doubt about it. What are your thoughts on that?
We even gave you a 4-point play right after. So, like, there you go. There was a couple, like, I think it was Jerome Hunter got blocked, clean block. Like one of our players' forearms blocked it. It was that clean. Like, it was just, and there was a foul. Like, every game there's going to be bad calls. And I know this is rich coming from me because I like to call out a ref, but I didn't think they were great, but I thought that it wasn't like totally slanted one way or the other. And like, you know, the teams ended up similar on the free throw line. And I think it's like a bigger talking point in Xavier Twitter just because they're free throw merchants. Like, that's their thing this year. It's like, get to the line. I mean, I watched the Wake Forest game and they were just, it felt like they're at the line every second. And it's like, that's kind of one of Sean Miller's things. He recruits guys that can get to the line. So maybe when it doesn't happen, it stands out a little more. I just don't think it should be a talking point. I guess it was a big deal, but that one play, but it's not like it was egregious the entire game.
Yeah, I don't think it was that crazy. But moving on from that, did Wes listen to Chatterbox Bearcats last week? Because he shortened that rotation down. We were saying all week that we're not as deep as we thought, you know what I mean? Or at least the depth pieces shouldn't be getting as many minutes. Josh Reed only got 1 minute. And it's not like, we say Josh Reed, he's an easy pickings, but like he did only get 1 minute. Like that, if there was somebody to get fewer minutes, like you're looking at Josh Reed, 7 guys had over 20 minutes. And then Paige and Betsy, Paige had 9, Betsy had 5. Play your best players the most time. Like, they're young out. They're young. We're not talking about 40-year-old LeBron James out here. He's even getting a ton of minutes. But Seamus didn't get a ton because he was in foul trouble. With that being said, I loved the shortened rotation. And look what happens. What do you think about Wes's lineups and rotations?
I was kind of expecting it. I think we talked about this last week too with Skillings being back in terms of Reed and Betsy playing a little less. But Aziz was just playing so well that I think you had to keep him out there. In terms of Paige, Paige played 9 minutes. I think he was okay. Didn't do anything dumb, which is kind of what I asked for out of backup bigs. And Aziz played 31 minutes. I'm pretty sure he averaged like in 24 last year, something like that. And he also mentioned in his presser today that like he was playing Aziz because he was playing well. He felt like he couldn't take him off the court, and he was seeing what we were seeing. I think that was Aziz's best game as a Bearcat. Couldn't have come at a better time, especially because he had wasn't very good against Villanova. Hasn't had a great start to the season. So this is just a little reminder to the fans that what he can be. And also just props to Wes for keeping him out there, because in big games last year, it felt like sometimes he played a little deeper than we should have. Like, it's like sometimes just, no, leave him in. Don't have to put that crappy lineup out for 4 minutes. These other teams are playing guys 34 minutes. Like, we can do it every once in a while. I know it's a marathon, but big game lineup, man. And I expect to see this in conference too. Maybe when we're playing Colorado at home or something like that, Paige will play 18 to 20 minutes one night. But if it's a big game, it's close, Aziz is playing well, not in foul trouble, I think this confirms that we're going to see him out there for more than 30 minutes a couple times.
I'm going to get a little deep here, unless, do you have any more specific kind of players to talk about that you're trying to get off your chest, or plays that you really want to highlight? Because I'm going to get a little philosophical here.
No, that's it for me. Just wanted to shout out Connor and Aziz mostly. Those great performances.
I think nobody talks about Aziz. I think he looked tough as nails out there. So I'm glad that you mentioned him. This might sound a little interesting, but and we already talked about me saying this is the biggest win of Wes's career. But I had this thought, and I'm like, I just got to get this out. That win on Saturday was like Wes signing Rayvon Griffith. And I mean that in the sense of, even if Rayvon doesn't have the best on-court career as a Bearcat, Wes signing him that first really full year under his belt was major for the program, because it's a local kid. He was a top 50 kid. And it was kind of a sign like, okay, Wes can get top level guys and also recruit local. Like, Rayvon was super popular growing up in Cincinnati. He was on Bronny James's AAU team getting coached by LeBron. Like, that was a big deal. And even if Rayvon doesn't get 30 minutes a game at Cincinnati, it's still a big deal because it's the momentum thing. It was momentum in recruiting. Xavier's not any good. Now they're especially not any good with Fremantle being out for the year, which I guess we can talk about that. But this win meant something, and it's momentum. You can't afford a loss there. I think that's what I'm getting at. Like, is that win going to be huge on the resume? Maybe, because it's a rivalry game and you took care of business, but like, it might end up being a Q3 win. So I kind of liken it to, Rayvon might not pan out to what we want, but he's still awesome for the program. You can tell he loves the program. He's the first off the bench, greeting everybody. I love Rayvon. And I think that this game, this win, is just as big like as signing Rayvon was. I don't know. That's a weird one. But I mean, what do you think?
It's a shame we couldn't kick their asses so he could get out there for it himself.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense. It's a milestone, kind of, like, it's something you can go back in the future with hindsight, maybe be like, that was a turning point. We're not there yet, but it feels like a milestone, just like Rayvon did.
Yeah, it feels like the start of something. And also, Dylan Mitchell, how cool is this? His comments after the game saying this is the most fun he's had in college basketball. This isn't somebody who transferred from Tulsa. You know what I mean? Like, he came in from Texas. And I know Texas is a football school, but I mean, Texas is still a major school. That was awesome. Like, that stuff matters. Clip that, send it to all the 5 stars.
He was there for that crazy Texas Tech game with like Chris Beard, and like, I think he was there for all that. He's played in big games, and he knows rivalries. They're not like this, but not much is.
Yeah, that was awesome. I mean, everything from Saturday was awesome. Unfortunate news for Xavier. Zach Fremantle, you could see the play. It happened with about 4 minutes left, or about 5 minutes left, where it was a lob to Bandego, and he kind of had, I don't know if he got his legs swept under him. And this is all speculation. It might not have happened on this play, but this is what it looks like, unless Sean Miller did confirm it. But knee injury, I think, right? Not confirmed out for the year, but it's not looking good for them. So Fremantle will likely end his college basketball career off a wide open missed 3 to tie up the Crosstown Shootout. I mean, he's somebody that obviously has beaten us, seems like 10 years, because he's been there forever. But that's a shot, Lilly, that X makes against us every freaking year. Thank goodness.
I saw people turn around. Like, I saw people turn around when he let go.
I mean, that was ridiculous. I can't believe he missed it. we have that shot made
I'm
on
happy
us.
it hit the rim like that because it was so obvious it wasn't going in. If it went straight up,
Yeah, I mean that shot gets made against Cincinnati 9 times out of 10, and we just saw the one miss. So fortunate there, but yeah, no, I hate Xavier. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm not somebody who's gonna cry over an opposing team star getting hurt, but like that, I mean, it sucks for them, like obviously. And I mean, I don't know how Zach Fremantle is off the court. I'm sure he's not like an awful person, right? We just hate him because we're Cincinnati fans. But that sucks for them. Seriously. I mean, you don't like to see season-ending injuries, especially career-ending injuries. But let's move on from that. I feel like I have to end off with a high note for the Bearcats. Like that was just a awesome weekend. Awesome weekend, Lilly. But now we don't get any days off. We got Dayton coming to town on Friday in a neutral site game, and Dayton's 22nd in the country. And they whooped our ass last year. And they just took down, I think Marquette was 6th in the country, and they took them down at home. So we got a test on Friday, Lilly. How are you feeling about that one?
much better now that we beat Xavier. But I've watched a lot of Dayton this year. I had a lot of free time for Thanksgiving-ish, and I watched every single minute of their 3 Maui games, and even gotten like heated arguments in group chats about how they should be ranked after losing 2 of those games and then winning the 3rd one. They every single game they've been in, or like even the ones they lost, they belonged in it. They kind of blew them both, but like it wasn't like a total, I guess you could say the North Carolina one was a total choke job, but it's North Carolina, it's Iowa State, like stuff like that happens. Like if we were up 20 at Iowa State, I'm still nervous. Like they're one of those teams, we saw what they can do to you last year. But they're just like Xavier in the sense of experience and continuity. Xavier is the 2nd oldest team in the country. Dayton is the 8th oldest. Like we're old too, so I'm not saying it's like an advantage or anything. It's just they're going to be prepared. They're going to be ready to go to battle. We saw that last year. They take care of the ball. Really good offense. Anthony Grant always has a good offense. And I know how you said we don't have any days off here, but Dayton plays UNLV tonight. Talk about a trap game in between Marquette and Cincinnati. But I'm going to be watching that just to kind of see how they look again. I've watched Dayton almost as much as I've watched UC this year. It's crazy. So they're good. Zed Key could be a problem for Aziz just because maybe like he's nothing like Eric Dixon, like in terms of the total offensive package, but they both have that like thick body and they're like a little quirky around the rim, in my opinion, to where it's sometimes those skinny guys like Aziz where they have trouble guarding those rim attempts because of the body contortion, and it's just a lot of weight to throw around, if that makes sense. So that's what I'm going to be watching the most, other than the 3 balls from their guard. They have a lot of shooters. I think Mitchell will be on Santos. He's their 4 who can chuck it. But the thing I'm going to be watching is Zed Key and Aziz. And if Page comes in versus him, I think that's going to be an issue with fouls. But definitely what I'm going to be looking at.
Dayton's an interesting squad because they didn't have a huge splash in the portal, and they actually lost guys. Right? Who am I forgetting?
Yeah,
Really?
they lost Holmes to the draft, and then
they lost somebody to the portal.
Then they lost. I got it up here.
Look it up while I go.
Kobe Brea to Kentucky.
That's what it was. The shooter. Yeah. So it didn't seem like this was going to be that great of a team coming into the season, but they are playing outstanding. Now this is 5th year senior Enoch Cheeks' team. Enoch Cheeks, 16 points per game, and he leads the team with 7 rebounds despite being 6'3". So Zed Key is a load, don't get me wrong, but he's also 6'8". So this is going to be a matchup of length with Aziz or just like body, Like Zed Key's a big guy. Like you mentioned, like he looks like Eric Dixon. Like he's not Eric Dixon. Eric Dixon is miles better than Zed Key, but he looks like him, like body-wise. So, yeah, this is going to be a weird one. I think that's the matchup I'm watching is Zed Key. But, yeah, hey, the three guys I highlighted, obviously it's their three best players. Enoch Cheeks, Nate Santos, and Zed Key. Those are three studs.
And they have four guys in the top 450 in the country in three-point percentage on Ken Palm. They're all guards. Malachi Smith is shooting 57% from three. He also has the number one assist rate in the country, which means other guys are hitting threes. And you brought up something I was going to bring up too here next is their size. They're one of the smallest teams in the country. Like, Day-Day and Jizzle aren't big guys, like height-wise, but they are strong. And Dayton's even smaller. Like Malachi's 6 foot 175. Javon Bennett is 5'10", 160. And those guys play a lot of minutes. Posh Alexander, 6 foot 205. Those are height-wise. This will be like one of the few. Here, I'll say this for Dayton fans: high major to high major plus teams in the that will play this year where we have bigger guards. And I think that matters. Like maybe this is the Jizzle game where he can get his mid-range going, because sure would be nice to like bully ball Malachi and Bennett for a little there for Jizzle to get out of this funk, because we know he can make those shots. And then the one thing they do have size-wise is this backup center. And I think he's actually, the games I watched, I think he's a decent impact player, and part of why they've been so good. I don't know how to say his name, Emil Latang. When he comes out on the court, you'll know who I'm talking about. He's 7'1", skinny as a rail, big man, who's an international freshman that they added really late in the summer. And he shoots threes too, something to watch. Hasn't made many, but he shoots them. But he kind of just stuck off the page to me. He only plays like 10, 15 minutes. But if we get in a situation where Page is facing off against him and we let him get going a little, I would like to see an adjustment from Wes to have his ease in the game when he's playing, and maybe bring in Page versus Key and just try to damage control there, because it sounds crazy to say. It's just something to watch, because he is the one guy on their team where they can really switch up and play big, even though he's skinny, because he is like huge.
Hey, this game, I don't want to like say it worries me, because I can't just keep saying that every single time we play a tough team. But this is a really good Dayton team, and it has everybody saying that maybe they should be in the Big East. That's been the discourse this week, because they took down Marquette, and guess what? They also took down UConn, the two best teams in the Big East. So everybody's saying, hey, should Dayton get in the Big East? I have my thoughts there, but I'm going to save them until after the game. Just a little. I think you can you can kind of allude to what I'm saying there, but I don't want to spend too much time on Dayton, because I think I mentioned it off the top of the show. If not, I'm bad at my job, but Chuck's got Mo Egger coming on later this week. So Mo Egger is going to know all about Dayton, and obviously he knows a lot about the Bearcats. So they're going to preview that game. So I don't want to get too stuck on that, because we also have some football news to talk about. And let's start with the portal. Lilly, you've been all over portal news with visits, with obviously the signings. Kind of give us just an update, like for somebody who probably hasn't paid attention to the portal at all. I'm not going to say myself. I see your tweets. But if somebody has no idea what's going on in football land, what's going on?
It's tough to really keep up with, because you have to really care about football. You know, we're not practicing for a bowl game. The season's over. Like, we're not going to play another game till next fall. So, and there's just so many names and guys to keep track of. So it's a hobby. But we've got some more. We got 2 linemen in. We're doing the FCS thing again with we had Xavier Lozowicki last year. He ended up redshirting. Might do the same thing with this guy from Albany we got today. Nick Cardwell is our O-line coach, and I think he's really respected in the industry. And, we've had a pretty good line since he got here. He got Kandra here. He retained Gerhardt. Like, I think I would like to get one more offensive lineman in, but I trust him. I think we'll be fine there. Got 2 wide receivers, Caleb Goody and Cyrus Allen. I love Goody. He's fun to watch. I think we still need 1 or 2 more because we can't have a repeat of last year where teams are just blitzing the crap out of us and no one's open until Sorsby's getting hit while Joe Royer is getting doubled. So we need some guys that can get separation quick. I'd like to start there. And then I think the O-lineman guys, like the guy today, Nolan, is a little developmental along with Jalen White, the edge we got from ODU. But in terms of like day one guys who are going to start, the cornerback Matthew McDoom, what a name, and the guard Tarantayo from Ball State. I think those guys are going to play a lot, and they were brought in to play. So we need to get a couple more guys like that on the edge, another corner, probably a safety, maybe a linebacker. But there's a couple spots where we're looking good at too. So good start. The staff's put themselves in a position, I think, to where they can say they had a really good portal. Still got to get some more guys in, though. It's too early to. I think it's early. I think we're safe to say it isn't going to be an awful portal, but it's too early to say that like they're killing it. But maybe by the end of this podcast, that'll be different. It feels like this stuff's happening so fast.
It's hard to keep up with.
I think we're going to get 6 to 9 more guys just based on comments from the coach. So we still got at least 6 more coming in.
Jeez. Yeah. Hey, I love portal season. And I think we mentioned it when we signed the last ranked class in the Big 12, according to On3, but let's go all in on the portal. Like, that's the way it is nowadays. So I'm feeling good about how the portal's gone so far. It's impossible to tell. Who knows? Who knows how good these guys are when they're playing lesser competition? You won't know until they strap on the pads and play at Nippert. But it seems like here's my thing. We retained our best players. Joe Royer's coming back. Sorsby's coming back. Corleone's coming back. That to me is very important because everybody was saying, oh, it's Brandon. Oh, we got John Brandon on the football field. I never said that, right? No, but
I'm sure you didn't.
But it's definitely not. Like you mentioned, you had a very good point. You're a very smart man, Lilly. That's why we have you on. But it might feel like Brandon to the fans, but it's not in the locker room, and that's what's important. So I'm feeling a little bit better about Satterfield in this squad. And we'll touch on this because this is a good transition right here. We're starting a new segment. We've grown to the point where I don't feel weary enough putting it on Twitter asking for mailbag questions. We got some mailbag questions. So every week I'm going to put on Twitter, I'm going to ask if anybody has any questions they want to ask, and we'll answer it. So we're going to start with 3 this week. And we'll start off with football. Maxwell McDolan, an old friend of mine from OU. On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel about next year for football? He said, I was feeling like a 4, but after some of the retainments in the transfer portal, I'm actually feeling a lot better, maybe 7-ish. Lilly, I'll start with you. 1 to 10, how you feeling?
This is a fun one because I think if you ask most UC fans, it'd be like less than 5, right? 1 to 10, how I'm feeling about next season. 7. I feel all right. I think they're going to be better. If they're not better, then we're screwed. But I think we'll be better. There's still a chance we lose guys that I don't want to lose. So between that, like if Jake Golday entered the portal, I would be beside myself. Like something like that. And we still have to see who we get. Like we got some receivers here. We need another receiver or 2. And I just want to believe in whoever we get, And then, fill out the lineup, get some depth in there. I'm going to say 7, but ask me again on December 28th.
I'm going to have a cop-out answer. You might not like it. I'm going to go 5.1. And not because I'm it's not because I'm down on the team by any means. I'm going to say 5.1 because I feel better than I do bad. That's a terrible way to say that sentence. God, I should cut that from the show.
No, it's a 51-49 thing, right?
Yeah, like I'm feeling better, but at that same point, we haven't beaten a real Big 12 team in 2 years. Like we've beaten Arizona State from the Pac-12, we've beaten Houston from the AAC, UCF from the AAC. Like we went 2 years without beating a legacy Big 12 team, and that's where the numbers low. But I'm feeling better than bad because we did retain those guys. I don't feel necessarily that great. I'm going to be honest. Like it's for me, I'll believe it when I see it with this football team. So 5.1, kind of a cop-out answer. I don't know.
That's better than a 5, you know?
Yeah, it is. Like
You had
I'm
good
feeling
justification.
Okay. Yeah, I'm okay. All right, but we'll move on to the next question. And I'll preface this with, this is from beautiful Joe Royer. That's his Twitter name. So ever since the Crosstown Shootout, we've had UC burner accounts coming out of the woodworks. If you don't know what a burner account is, it's essentially somebody who just has an email, creates a Twitter, puts a UC athlete on the cover, and just tweets Bearcat athletics. I love it. They're hilarious, first off. And it's good to see. So kind of a little preface, like Providence has a really good internet presence on Twitter, like Providence basketball. And it's just like awesome because so much content left and right. So you see, hey, we're getting up there. A ton of burner accounts. But beautiful Joe Royer, one of them. Obviously not Joe Royer. But he asks, and this is a hot topic.
Or is it Joe Royer?
How who knows? He said, how are we feeling about playing in Kansas City to start next year? Maybe Travis and Taylor could both attend the game. So if you haven't heard, we had, and correct me if I'm wrong, Lilly, the game against Nebraska. So we're talking about the game against Nebraska, the season opener. Did it started at Nippert? Originally, it was supposed to be at Nippert?
It was supposed to be at Nebraska. COVID canceled it. And then the return game at, it was either Nippert or Paul Brown.
Okay. So in Cincinnati.
Nebraska wanted to move it because we never played there.
Got it. And that's fair. But it was in Indianapolis forever. And then we heard rumblings about a month ago that it was going to get moved to Kansas City. Well, it was made official on Monday that it was moved to Kansas City. So if you wanted to go to Indianapolis, make a 2-hour trip, no longer. Now it's 10. What are your thoughts on starting off the season in Kansas City? Oh, no, let's say, or you get into it, the money aspect, you know all about it. So kind of give us a little background on why and what it does for us, and just also your thoughts.
I had Kilroy's in my sight. Like I love Indy. Was gonna, book a hotel probably depending on the game time. See all of my friends there. I'm pissed, like it's I go to games every year on the road. Like we try to go to one road game, sometimes 2 every year, for football and basketball. And it felt like a fun thing to do, It kind of sucked that they're already moving it, but since it's Indy, it's like cool. There'll be a lot of Nebraska fans there. It'll be a fun environment. It'll probably feel like a bowl game. And Indy's a cool city. I'm bummed out. It sucks. This is a stupid part of college sports to me. The fact that it's even neutral in the first place is stupid to me. But I get it. It's like I'm not going on Twitter and defending it. I see people doing that, and that's just ridiculous. Everyone knows why we did it. Like, you don't have to defend them for doing it. We understand. Like, we got to start paying players in multiple sports, and this is the easiest way for us to raise money without bombarding our own donors. Like, that's all it is to me. And the numbers are there. On Cunningham did a release. and they're very obviously better than the situation in Indianapolis. Like there's a guarantee that's bigger than the projection of Indianapolis. So again, you see why they did it. I just don't like it. Like I think it stinks because we would have had a ton of fans in Indy. Maybe not as many as Nebraska, huge fan base, but now it's going to be maybe 2,000, probably less. It's a Thursday now instead of a Saturday. And then on that note, after a year of getting just screwed with time slots, we don't deserve anything better, but like we were getting screwed as fans, in my opinion. It's going to be cool to have like a huge national spot on Thursday before week 1. Like everybody's going to be watching. And you've got the off-season hype machine of Raiola. And I think Sorsby will have a little hype. I think some UC fans don't expect that, but I think this game will have legit QB versus QB hype. They could market it, and a lot of people are going to watch the game.
Yeah, my thoughts, and I like everything you said, but to me, it's a nothing burger for me, other than the fact that I was probably going to go to Indianapolis. That sucks. Like I was probably going to go. It'd probably be a lot of fun, and that there's one weekend taken away from me. But we need the money. Football needs the money. So the thing I hate the most part is that it is a home game technically, right? So a home game in Kansas City where there's definitely gonna be more Nebraska fans. That sucks. But I'm not gonna spend too much time on this. I don't really care that much. I mean, honestly, other than the fact that I can't go anymore. Simple as that. All right, last question from Cat's Ball Knower. This is my buddy, by the way. I've been interacting with this guy like crazy this weekend. He said, best question, I think. If you could add any player from the last 10 years to this team, who would it be and why? Obviously, basketball. Lilly, your answer.
My answer is boring because I didn't even consider alternatives, even though I think there are good ones and I think you could argue it. I would just argue against it. Gary Clark. I think he gives us a ton more options at the 4 and the 5. A little insurance if somebody gets hurt like Aziz. If you need to go too big, he's a guy that you could do it with because he shoots threes. He also fits in our superpower of offensive rebounding. He does that. He blocks shots, gets steals, like good leader, good guy. That's the answer to me. And there's probably like 5 other guys I would entertain. Like I would hear you out, but I just would disagree.
Yeah, Gary Clark's the answer. He is, but for argument's sake and so that we don't have the same guy, the other answer is Jaron Cumberland. I like what you said, dude. Like we have no post game. Like Dylan Mitchell doesn't post up with his back to the board. Like he cuts and he finishes at the rim, like a wing, obviously. And Aziz doesn't have a post game. So Gary Clark would add that. And that is something we are desperately missing. So the answer is Gary Clark. Cumberland, however, that'd be a lot of fun because you plug him in at the 2 and you go small. Like you have Jizzle, Cumberland. First off, Jizzle and Cumberland might be the strongest, thickest backcourt of all time. Like for a 1 and a 2, like you can just bully your way into the lane if you're either of them. And also he provides shooting. But we have Seamus. And I'm not saying Seamus is Cumberland. Don't get me wrong, but like Seamus is our playmaker and he does also shoot the ball. I don't know the stats, but they're both good 3-point shooters. So we kind of we're not missing that piece, I guess.
Also, he's like a physical profile. Like, how Jizzle is physical. Yeah. Jaron is like the physical profile, like the best physical guard you can be in college basketball. He was that.
Yeah, he would be awesome. Like he would be awesome. I think it's 1A. It's 1 and 2. But Gary Clark, we're missing that. I don't think we're missing a playmaker shooter because we have it in Seamus. I don't think Seamus is as good as Cumberland. Obviously, the stats do not back that up. But I think it's, safer to say that Clark's the guy. But that's an awesome question. Any honorable mentions?
Oh, wow.
There we go. Who's yours? Probably have the same ones.
So I just want to point out, if they would have said 11 years, we could talk SK.
Oh, well, yeah, that's why they didn't.
But, yeah, exactly. I'm saying junior year Jake. It took me a while to get to this. I brought it up in a group chat, and someone brought it up, and I was like, "What? That's a decent point." Because, he's a wing defender. Say Seamus is having an awful game. Jake can shoot threes and guard. And then you have Mitchell and Jake against certain teams that have, 2 wing superstars. A little less Hickman, 0 Reed, a little almost 0 Betsy. If we had Jake on this team, we'd be stacked too. He would give us tons of options from the 2 to the 4 there. I just think this team needs someone would need Gary to raise the floor. If say Aziz went down, something like that. But I guess you could argue peak Jake on this team would raise our ceiling just as much as Clark would.
Some other, I guess, obvious ones would be Kyle Washington, Trey Scott. Here's one. Let's see. I'm trying to pull up his 3-point. I can't find it. Anyway, Justin Jennifer, senior year Justin Jennifer.
I'll shoot that one down.
Yeah. You shoot it down?
Too short.
Not a Jennifer guy? What was his 3-point? He was shot 44% from 3.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Can you imagine that at the 1? But then again, I like Jizzle. But no, yeah, I think it's 1, 2, 3. Gary Clark, Jaron Cumberland, and Jacob Evans. So, hey, fun show. We went just under 50 minutes. We got tons of content. Obviously we're live after every game. Chuck is interviewing Mo Egger, and yeah, hey, we got a bunch, and we're gonna do Twitter Spaces Tuesday night. I don't know if this is gonna be out in time to whatever, but we might do another one before the Dayton game. But we're gonna do them a bunch. So hey, we're all over it, and glad you guys are joining us. We're kind of growing a little bit. Everybody's kind of getting recognized out in public. Well, I guess at UC games where where everybody's fans, but it's awesome to see. So thanks for everybody for kind of joining the community. Lilly, last thoughts before we get out of here?
Just want to apologize to the Swifties for not bringing up that aspect of the potential Arrowhead game. But we just don't care. We're talking about football, guys. Sorry.
Oh, man.
We're focused here.
They might go. Travis should go. That'd be cool to see.
Trav better be there.
Yeah. All right, guys, that's the show. Thanks for tuning in to the Chatterbox Bearcats midweek show. I'm Nick Niehaus. That's Eric Lilly. Chuck and Houdini will have some content later this week. See you guys. Go Cats.